Welcome back for our tropical update. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist John Dawson, and always like to be able to spend a little bit more time unpacking what's happening in the tropics. And that's exactly what we're going to be able to do today. And sometimes there's a lot to talk about with active storms that are happening, and sometimes maybe not so much. And I think today is going to count as our not so much day as far as what we're expecting across the area, as we are not seeing a whole lot of activity overall as far as what our activity is going to be looking like, and the fact that we are looking for things to remain quiet as well in our forecast with the tropics. So we'll sort of, again, get that bigger picture, just kind of let you know that the Atlantic Basin, I guess I should stress a little bit about a quiet side of things. Our Atlantic Basin is quite quiet. What's happening over in the Pacific, though, is a little bit of a different situation. So overall, if you're in the United States, we've still got a lot of heat happening over the eastern portion. And then we've got a little bit more stormy weather right along the coast. But Gulf of Mexico, along the East Coast, even the Caribbean, pretty quiet overall. So our Atlantic in general is quiet at the moment. Not going to complain about that. Going to be able to enjoy that. Going to be able to take advantage of that for as much as we can. I mentioned the fact that if you're in the United States, I know that a lot of our audience is not in the U.S. If you're watching us on Fox Local right now, then you're most likely in the United States. But if you're checking us out on YouTube, then there's a high possibilities that you're not in the U.S. And we've got a lot of folks who are kind of check in with us across the Caribbean. It's always fun if you'll leave a comment down below and just kind of let me know where you are. Again, this is our 4 p.m. update on Thursday. Just kind of check in with me on YouTube. I'll go on there as well and sort of see where you're from and maybe leave you a comment. Let me know what you're facing, what you're dealing with, and we appreciate you checking in from other parts of the world besides just the U.S. In addition to that, and I know this is technically the U.S., but we got a lot of folks in Louisiana who pay attention to what we're doing here on our tropical forecast. So glad you're here as well. Again, you're kind of your own group, right? You're not foreign, but also specialized along the Gulf Coast for sure if you're in Louisiana. Glad you're a part and checking in with us. Over to the Eastern Pacific, though, we'll see right off of Central America, we still have this one spot that the National Hurricane Center keeping an eye on. 80% chance that could develop into a tropical system. Going to need some time, though, for that still to kind of get its way moving. We are wrapping up the month of June. This has been the main area that we focus on as far as watching for development. So let me stress this yellow shading here. It's not an impact area. It's not where storms make landfalls. It's where they originate, where they form from. They then track all kinds of different places and that sort of thing. But this is the area we watch for that potential development. And this has been a quiet region, and we're continuing to still watch it. Now, Andrea was out in the middle of the Atlantic, kind of an unusual place to see a June storm. It was the furthest northeast storm that we know of that has actually formed in the month of June. So very unusual how that one turned out. You'll remember that was the storm that lasted less than 12 hours, but was, had its tropical characteristics for a little while at least. So as we wrap up June and now we switch into July, we're going to add some areas of development where we're going to be looking for. So no longer are we just watching along the Gulf and along the East Coast. We're going to be checking down into the Caribbean as well, and even outside the Caribbean into the far southwestern portions of the Atlantic. Again, a reminder, this is development areas. This is where things form. They then can track, of course, anywhere. This is what we look for in July. And when we see something possible in the Gulf, obviously that gives us a shorter amount of time to kind of prepare for a U.S. landfall. When we see things out into the Caribbean and to the Atlantic, that gives us a little bit more time for the preparation overall. So when we look back at our history and when we normally see tropical activity, we continue to see relatively quiet action in both June and July. Now, when we get to the end of July and into August, we certainly start ramping things up. And for the entire Atlantic basin, September the 10th is the peak of activity that we see, and then things begin to sort of slowly move down, less active as we move through the rest of the season. So we've always had the possibility of even seeing activity outside of hurricane season, the 6 months of the year in which we most commonly see activity, but that's kind of why we have the season, because that's when we are most likely to see some of that activity. All right, here's the good news, and when I say good news, it's what's helping to keep tropical systems from forming, and that's going to be that Saharan dust. That's part of the reason why June and July are usually quieter, is because this is helpful to keep development from happening. We have several plumes that are coming off the African coast, but we have a thick batch of it that's already in the northern portions of the Caribbean, moving in towards the Gulf. And if you are in Louisiana or Texas or those other Gulf states, get ready. When we get to the end of the weekend, this is one of those plumes of dust that's going to make it all the way to us, and we're going to experience some very hazy conditions. So be prepared for those changes to kind of be headed our direction. Just a quick reminder again about my YouTube channel. Fantastic resources are on there for hurricane preparedness. My hurricane gear test. I test products. I give you ideas. Some things maybe you've heard of. Some things maybe you haven't heard of. New technology. All sorts of different ideas that I just want you to see and take and apply to your life as it's impacts it, or how it's necessary. We don't all have the exact same plans for hurricane preparedness, but we all need some plans, and there are some basic ideas that apply to all of us, and we're able to kind of talk about that and kind of get into that. So again, go to YouTube, search for Meteorologist John Dawson, the best way you can look for that. So we did talk about Andrea real quick here. That was the tropical storm that has formed. We're looking for Barry to be next, but as of now, I would say for at least 7 to 10 days, Barry's not going to happen, and it might even be further along than that. Everything looks very quiet for right now. Not going to complain about that. We'll have another update for you, of course, tomorrow right here on Fox 26.